talk about the best financing solutions for a growing contractor, your best financing solution is to start at home and really analyze your operational excellence and all the different things you need to understand in order to run and grow your business responsibly. That's the best financing solution right there.
Get yourself access to the information you need to make great decisions. Welcome everybody to the next episode of the Mobilization Mindset. My name is Scott Peper, CEO and founder of Mobilization Funding. And today, Drew and I are going to be talking about financing for construction contractors. You can find all of this information, whether you hear it here or if you want to see us live, you can also see it on the YouTube channel. Drew, welcome.
Glad to be here. Happy post-4th. Your 4th was pretty awesome.
This is the Monday after 4th of July.
Down at the beach?
We were down at the beach. Yeah. It was fun. It was hot.
Nice.
Lots of kids and all their friends.
Back in the swing of things. Monday.
Back in the swing of it.
You talk about financing solutions. The first thing you need to do is say, all right, am I doing profitable work? Am I bidding correctly? Do I know my unit economics? Yeah. Do I know my capital strategy going forward? Right? Do I need to reinvest into my business to grow X amount? It all starts with a goal and a mission. You could be a $5 million concrete guy in Texas and say, by the end of next year, I want to be a $15 million concrete contractor in Texas. That takes so many different moving parts. And the first thing you got to do, forget the financing solutions for a minute, right? What do I need to do internally, operationally, and from a reinvestment standpoint? What tools and people do I need to put in place actually to make it to 15? Only at that point, you can identify where your gaps are. Like, okay, for example, I'm not as profitable on these jobs as I am on these jobs. But these jobs over here, I do a lot more of those and they have better payment terms, right? These jobs over here are larger or maybe few and far between, but they're much more profitable, but I get paid a little bit slower on those. So you gotta kind of know where you are within your operational capacity.
Yeah, and here's why that's important. I'm gonna tell a real story.
Yeah.
So someone we and you both know well, a customer of ours at one point had a great business. And I use the word had because we're talking about financing. And what you just made note of, which is really key, is you have to know your numbers and you have to know what your costs are and you have to know what your systems are in place to do this and why. And here's why. This particular company Drew and I are talking about, for every dollar of revenue they generated, it cost them $1.75 to earn that dollar. That is a completely negative scenario, okay? Now, someone would say, well, how the heck can you spend $1.75 and only get $1 back? Easy. One, you have no idea what your labor cost is, and you think it's X, but it's really 1.75 of X. You are giving and spending money on big capital improvements like internal systems that don't work, technology that doesn't work. You're being sold every piece of software and saying yes to it because you think it makes you feel good, but you don't know how to use it, you don't know how to implement it. Then on top of that, because you don't realize that every dollar you earn costs you $1.75, you're just short on cash, but you're growing so fast that you need capital to grow. So instead of watching a video like this, putting things in place and taking your time and finding the right capital source, you take the easiest one and to the tune of $1 million. And then you spend that $1 million in a 3-week period on all the wrong things. You generate only $300,000 of revenue from that $1 million. At the same time, the $1 million you generated came from a merchant cash advance, which has cost you $1.5 million to pay back. So you now have created $1.5 million in cost, and you've only earned $300,000 in revenue. You've now put yourself in the hole $1.2 million or $100,000 a month.
All right, let's look at the sequence of events there, right? You start a business, you grow a business. All of a sudden, you've grown it so fast, you actually don't know your numbers. You don't know what the right hand's doing. You don't know what the left hand's doing. So then you make financing decisions without understanding exactly what you need.
And can I stop you there for a second too? All because you're too proud to just know what you don't know. Because just starting a business and making these mistakes is perfectly fine. Every business owner is going to make these mistakes. And part of the reason why it takes a while to build your business is because you're going to make mistakes. But if you make compounding mistakes on top of mistakes, you now create a point where you run yourself out of business. And that's exactly what's gone on here.
An alternative story is that business owner who grows to 20 million bucks. Let's take the same story, but an alternative.
This is another customer. I know where you're going to go with this one.
Choose your own adventure. So you grow it to 20 million bucks. This guy has been bootstrapping his company. Essentially what that means is taking all the cash that he generates and puts it right back into the company to help fuel growth.
Makes mistakes, absorb losses.
He made some mistakes.
All kinds of things.
He bid wrong on like 2 projects last year. He lost a little bit of money, but he bid right and executed right on like 22 projects where he made up for that. He learned from those mistakes, right? So then he hits $20 million in revenue and says, I want to be a $40 million company. He took inventory the last 3 years he's been operating, took inventory of those mistakes, said, I'm never going to make those mistakes again. He understood his unit economics down, meaning his profitability per job for the material that he bills for the labor that he bills for, how much labor he needs on each job, what is the schedule of that labor. He ended up taking an entire inventory of his entire company, brought in an outsourced, controller, CFO to manage all that for him, right? And then he's in a position where he has options.
Right.
He knows what he wants to do. He consults people close to him. He goes out and says, hey, is mobilization funding right for me? Oh, by the way, am I in a position to go get a bank loan? Yeah, you are in a position to go get a bank loan. Its factoring makes sense for him only kind of on these projects. I don't know if I want to factoring all of my receivables, maybe a factor that just, so he started educating on himself what kind of financing solutions would help him get to that 40 million bucks. All the while he created a scenario where he built a balance sheet, he built profitability where he would have options.
Right. And his discipline to keep the cash that he did earn
Yes.
in the business along the way helped him easily recover quickly from mistakes. It helped him have cash available to execute new work. And it gave him a balance sheet to where all of these options, bank options, factoring options, ABL lines of credit options, and mobilization funding are all options to him. And most importantly, he said no to the merchant cash advances all along the way who would have given him money at any given point. And he did that because he realized that his main goal was to build a good business, one that could provide for him and his family, deliver his product and service to his customers, and take care of his employees. And the only way he could do that was by making good decisions over a period of time. And now effectively, he has the entire availability of options. And so the reason factoring didn't work for him is because it didn't solve the problem for him of as he grows, he's going to need this money to execute. His payment terms are very similar in construction. Takes him 30 to 45 days to get paid, takes 30 days to bill. Factoring alone wasn't going to work well for him. He didn't have a big enough AR backlog that he could use as free cash flow where he could just take in all that money. Plus he also already had a senior line of credit, which there's no point in paying off that line of credit because he had a good $3 million line of credit he could use across his business. So that eliminated factoring and ABL solutions because his bank wasn't going to subordinate the AR positions. So that left mobilization funding or merchant cash advances, which quite frankly aren't even and they shouldn't even be in the same sentence, let alone the same decision tree.
And he didn't even need the advance rates, the 80%, 90%. That an ABL or a factor is going to in most cases want to do because his gross margins were so favorable. I mean, his margins were very favorable. So he had larger margins than what an ABL or factor typically likes to, they like to advance more, and he didn't want to borrow that much.
And by larger, like they were what?
They were like 32 to 35% somewhere,
Yeah. And even for a construction company that's in the 22 to 25%, it still works. It's provided that you're finishing your jobs. You don't have one big job, but you have many jobs that you're across a bigger scope. And you're, even if your retainage is at 10%, it can still work.
Yeah. Yeah. But he also had an overhead, like a SG&A or overhead base where he didn't need to borrow all of this money to support that. Right. It was just, he wanted to create a machine. That's why he moved with us.
Yeah. And been in business for, 7, 8 years.
Yeah. 7 or 8 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And doing well. So there's lots of options out there, but I think the takeaway message is know what systems are in place in your business first so that you know what your, as Drew very well said, unit economics are. When you know what your unit economics are, you know where you can pour money into the business that will deliver value for you, as opposed to pouring money into the business that will only cost you more money every dollar of revenue you produce. And I know that sounds insane to think that you could gain $1 of revenue, but it costs you $1.75 to get. But we see stuff like that all the time. That's a big example of $1.75. Usually it's $1.10, $1.20, something that you can kind of recover from and pay attention to, but it doesn't feel it so much. But when you're not paying attention to your costs over a long period of time and you grow too fast, that's how you can get to $1.75 for every dollar of revenue earned. And then quickly you earn yourself out.
Yeah, and Scott, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, Scott a minute ago said you got to know your unit economics, you got to know your growth story, you got to know your business. That's the story you need to tell those financing options out there. That's the story you need to communicate to them and believe it too. And it's got to show in the numbers as well. That's why the question was raised, talk about the best financing solutions for a growing contractor. Your best financing solution is to start at home and really analyze your operational excellence and all the different things you need to understand in order to run and grow your business responsibly. That's the best financing solution right there.
Get yourself access to the information you need to make great decisions. If you don't have that information right now or don't know where to get it, find the right people. They'll create it for you. And then,
or reach out to us. And we know tons of people in the space that can help.
And then you can have all the financing options available to you to execute the best way possible and stay in business.
That's it.
I hope this video helped you all. You can see us live on our website at mobilizationfunding.com. Also on our YouTube channel if you're listening to this just on the podcast and audio platforms. In the meantime, Drew and I'll catch you next week. Have a great week, and may God bless you.